The safety of all Singapore Civil Defence Force SCDF personnel is of utmost importance to the Home Team. To be deployed as firefighters, NSFs need to be certified medically fit and of physical employment standards PAS A, B1 or B2. They will also need to complete a 4-week basic rescue training as well as a 12-week firefighter course, FFC, at the Civil Defence Academy, CDA. The FFC includes both theoretical and practical components and a series of proficiency and certification tests. These include the individual physical proficiency tests, breathing apparatus proficiency tests, hazmat responder certification tests, firemanship skills assessment, and a written test on basic firemanship, rescue, and equipment knowledge. In addition to the skills taught in the FFC, regular servicemen and NSFs who are appointed to leadership roles will undergo a section commander or rota commander course, which trains them to lead a section comprising 3-4 personnel, or rota, which is a duty shift comprising several sections. Firefighting training at the CDA is conducted with live fire simulators to provide realism so that trainees gain experience operating in conditions similar to real-life firefighting. SCDF has protocols to ensure that the training curriculum is reviewed regularly to ensure currency. After graduating from the CDA, training continues to be an integral part of a firefighter's daily routine, including NSF firefighters. Firefighters undergo exercises and drills during each shift to familiarize themselves with their respective roles and functions as part of a crew, as well as to maintain individual fitness and competencies. They must also undergo annual proficiency tests conducted by CDA to ensure that their skills and fitness levels meet the required standards. In a fire emergency, NSF firefighters and NSF section commanders are deployed alongside regular servicemen in a section. NSmen and Civil Defence Auxiliary Unit, CDAU, volunteer firefighters may also be deployed within the section. Depending on the scale of the emergency, the task force that is activated may comprise several sections. The task force is led by a ground commander who is responsible for leading the operation. The ground commander will monitor and direct the operation and request for more resources as reinforcement if necessary. All firefighting personal protective equipment used by SCDF are certified according to relevant international standards, such as the American National Fire Protection Association standards and European standards. Mr. Murali Pillay asked about the challenges experienced by the SCDF during the firefighting operation on 8 December 2022. While responding to the incident, the SCDF officers found the fire engine accessway leading to Block 91 Henderson Road obstructed by a tent where a funeral wake was being held. The officers removed the bollards that were padlocked to the ground near the tentage to create an access path. This delayed their arrival by 18 minutes. Based on the ground commander's assessment of the resources needed for the operation, 22 emergency vehicles and 61 responders from 6 fire stations were deployed to the incident. About 40% of the responders were national servicemen, meaning the majority, 60% of the responders, were regular officers. The passing of Sergeant 1 Edward Goh is the first SCDF fatality in a firefighting operation. The police are currently conducting an independent thorough investigation into the circumstances of Sergeant 1 Edwards' demise and will apprise the coroner of its findings. At this stage, it is premature to determine the factors which contributed to Sergeant 1 Edwards' death. The coroner will consider the police investigation findings in determining the cause of death. Due to the ongoing investigations, we are unable to share further details at this stage. SCDF will seek to understand what had happened, including if standard operating procedures and protocols had been followed, and how this may need to be tightened to keep the officers as safe as possible when they serve our nation.
I'm sure honourable members of this House would join me to express our profound sadness over the demise of Sergeant Edward Goh in the line of duty, while in his efforts to keep Singapore safe and secure. And I hope that the family of Mr. Edward Goh will be supported while they come to terms with their loss and in time heal. My question for the Honourable Minister of State is in relation to the deployment of NS men. Minister of State mentioned that the ratio of NS men deployment for that particular incident was 40 to 60% regulars. Having regard to the fact that NS men generally have less experience than regulars, may I ask whether there is a certain strategy to better protect NS men, having regard to the fact that they generally have less experience? And in respect of Sergeant Edward Goh, I understand that investigations are ongoing, but would the Honourable Minister of State reveal the extent of training that he had for the incident that was called for to fight?
The NSF journey with SCDF starts from his enlistment into the SCDF, where he receives basic and subsequently vocational training appropriate for his past condition. So at the start of his enlistment, we already look at it like how that journey is going to be. So NSFs who are assigned in the operational roles, as I shared earlier, are given robust and realistic training. They also use proper PPE and equipment that are common to the fire station. From their time in the academy, the CDA, their instructors will closely monitor them and look at their progress and help build their confidence. The relationship, the camaraderie, and peer support are also vital parts of the culture and overall journey. In fact, I visit SCDF fire station as well as some of the setup regularly, and this is something I noticed. The peer support, the relationship, and that journey that whether be it NSF or regulars that someone goes through is so important, and the juniors will look up to the seniors. Also not only among the regulars and the NSF, but also among the NSF together, they look up to the seniors and they want to see how they can play their part. And after posting to a fire station, they will be assigned support appliance first. So they will not straight away go to the front line as in fight the fire. So this is the opportunity to give them the time to settle down and get to know their rota. So during this time, the supervisors will observe the NSFs in the daily shift, watch them perform during drills and training to assess their suitability, competency, and confidence to be placed on turnout on the main fire engines and red rhinos. This is where they are most likely to be on scene earlier than the rest. And we also look at the composition of the crew, where we carefully balance it, where the supervisors will ensure that there is a good mix of experience and seniority, while still giving NSF firefighters the opportunity to grow from accumulating turnout experience. Indeed, the only way, just like many of the vocations which require practical experience, the only way for all firefighting personnel, whether regular or NSF, to build their experience is on-the-job training. And this takes place under close supervision with multiple layers of safety. We ensure, such as the training they receive, the PPE they wear, and the colleagues they turn out with. So this is something, like what I shared earlier, something very obvious when you speak to them and we talk to them about operations, right? And it's something that we are very proud of our SCDF officers. With regards to the late Sergeant 1 Edward Goh, this is something that perhaps I'd like to share, even though the investigation is going on. We really, like what you shared earlier, we feel the loss of the late Sergeant Edward. And just like the rest, all NSF need to be certified medically fit and complete the relevant training and courses prior to deployment at the front line. During his training as a firefighter, Sergeant 1 Edward Goh attained the gold standard for his individual physical proficiency tests and fared well in the other mandatory course requirements, including achieving an A grading for his breathing apparatus proficiency test. His performance, in fact, was among the top 25% in his cohort. And like the rest, he would go through the process of the journey, like any other SCDF and SF. And in fact, his experience when he was posted to the Central Fire Station in May 2022, he had attended nearly 60 fire and rescue calls. So he was an officer with some level of experience as well.